The cell. The cell is the basic unit of life. The main function of the cell are division, obtain, and using energy. There are two types of cells, prokaryotes. The prokaryotes have the characteristic to be small without a nucleus or organelle. Some examples are the bacteria and the archaea. Eukaryotes. The characteristic of eukaryotes can be larger with a nucleus and organelle. Some examples as animals, plants, fungi, and protists. 3. The structure of the eukaryotic cells. Plasma membrane. The function of plasma membrane is protection and regulation of the passage of substance. Cytoplasm that contains the organelles and the cytoskeleton. Nucleus contains the DNA and controls all the cellular activity. Organelles, endoplasmic reticulum, manufacturing and proteins lipids, Golgi apparatus, modification and packaging of proteins. Mitochondria is the incorrect to generation of energy. Chloroplast is the photosynthesis, but only in cell plants. Lysosomes, degradation of waste. Ribosomes, proteins manufactured. Cytoskeleton, give shape and support to the cell. 4. Additional structures in specific cells. Cell wall, rigidity and protection. This is only in plants and fungi cells. Vacuoles, storage and water and substance. This is only in plant cells. Centrosomes is the cell division only in animal cells. Plasmasta, intercellular communication only in plant cells. 5. Components common to prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Plasma membrane, cytoplasms, ribosomes, and DNA. 6. Function of nucleus. DNA storage, control of gene expression, and DNA replication. 7. Function of the cytoplasms. Housing the organelles, allowing cell movement and intercellular communication. 8. Function of the organelles. Each organelle performs a specific and essential function for the cell. 9. Function of the plasma membrane. The function of the plasma membrane are the protection, regulation, and communication with other cells. Additional components of the plasma membrane are the cholesterol and glycine.
Living things are distinct from non-living things by a fundamental characteristics that allow them to reproduce, grow, and adapt to their environment. They are made of cells, like multicellular, like animals, or unicellular, like bacterials. Additionally, all their genetic material are stored in DNA. They grow and develop according to the instructions in their genes, allowing they to increase in size and mature. They also reproduce to ensure the continuity of their species. Over time, they evolve and adapt to their environment. An example of this is a leaf insect that has developed camouflage to protect itself from the predators. To survive, living beings need to obtain energy and nutrients, which they use for metabolic functions, like bears that eat to stay active. They also respond to the environmental stimuli. For example, the monarch butterflies migrate to the warmer climates when temperatures drop. Finally, they maintain internal balance through homeostasis. An example of this is a lizard, which regulates its body temperature by basking in the sun. Now I am going to talk about the difference about eukaryotic cells and prokaryotic cells. Prokaryotic cells, like bacteria and archaea, are simple and smaller. They have no nucleus. Their DNA is in the cytoplasm, and they have a rigid cell wall. They also can have a flagella for movement and pili for addition. In contrast, the eukaryotic cells, like those of animals and plants, are larger and more complex. They have a nucleus that protects the DNA and various special organelles, like prokaryotic cells are usually unicellular. Eukaryotic cells can form multicellular organisms with specific functions. And this is all for today. Thank you.
In 16th century, Hans and Zacharias Janssen made the first compound microscope, when they placed one lens at the top and another one at the bottom of a tube, and observed that when they looking through this cylinder, objects at the other end were magnified considerably. The lenses used were convergent. Their function was to concentrate light rays passing through them to one point. This device makes it possible to magnify objects between 3 and 9 times. In 1665, Robert Hooke designed a microscope made of 3 lenses. The instrument consists of 4 tubes. He used a small biconvex ocular lens at the top, then a convex flat-field lens, and finally another biconvex lens at the end of the tube. To improve the quality of the images, he passed the light generated by an oil lamp through a flask filled with water, which allowed him to diffuse the light and illuminate the sample. With this microscope, Hooke managed to magnify samples between 20 to 50 times their actual size. He could see a regular arrangement of similar small structure, imperceptible to the human eye, which he called cells. In 1667, Anton van Leeuwenhoek placed between 2 metal plates fitted with adjustable screws that allow him to focus the specimen. This design perfected the simple microscope, as it had only one lens, and allowed him to magnify objects between 200 to 300 times their original size. He also found tiny forms of life, which he called animalcula. Today, we know that they were bacteria and protozoa that swam happily before his eyes when he examined drops of water in ponds. He was the first to describe the various forms of bacteria found in pepper water or scraping off the white matter stuck in his teeth. Cell theory. Cell theory proposed that all living things, regardless of their difference, have in common that they are made up of cells. This suggests, among other things, that there is an evolutionary kinship between all living things, and this kinship is given through the fundamental unit of life, the cell. This theory was proposed by Matthias Schleiden, Theodor Schwann, and Rudolf Virchow, and is based on the observation of Robert Hooke and Anton van Leeuwenhoek, among others. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Maria Daniela Reyes Chapa, and today I'm going to talk about the different types of cell transportation. The first one that I'm going to talk about is passive transport. Passive transport is like going down a slide. It is really easy and it doesn't require any type of energy because we are moving from a high concentration to a low concentration. Now the next one is active transport. It is more difficult, this one, because now imagine like if you are climbing up. You require more energy because the molecules are moving from a low concentration to a high concentration. Now the next one that I'm going to talk about is osmosis. Osmosis is a type of passive transport because it doesn't require energy, but this one is from water. Now the molecules of water are moving from a high concentration of water to a low concentration of water. The next one is diffusion. Diffusion, now imagine that you are dropping food coloring in water. Well, if you drop food coloring in water, obviously the food coloring, it will spread evenly in the water. Well, this is diffusion. Diffusion is that the molecules move from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration until the equilibrium is reached. Then vacillated diffusion is almost the same, but now the difference is that in this is like if you had a helper in the slide to go down. And this means that now a protein channel is helping you to the membrane, helps molecules move across. It is still a passive transport, but not with a little help of the protein. Okay, now the next one is endocytosis. In this one, imagine like a Pac-Man. Now in this one, the cell membrane surrounds a substance and engulfs it, helping out bringing into the cell. And the last concept is exocytosis. Exocytosis is the opposite of endocytosis. In this one, the cell releases a substance by fusing a vesicle containing the substance with the cell membrane. This means that instead of helping out in bringing something into the cell, this one releases of the cell. It's like spitting something out. And well, with this concept, I will finish. Thank you.
What are levels of organization? We could start with a submicroscopic level, such as the atom. A set of properly intertwined atoms would form a molecule. The molecules in turn form organelles that will be integrated to build the parts of the cell. A group of 10 billion cells with similar functions and structures performing a particular task is known as a tissue. Tissues are the building blocks of organs. A group of organs comprises a system such as digestive, respiratory, skeletal, etc. So, in summary, atoms form molecules, molecules form organelles, organelles builds part of the cell, cells builds tissue, tissues builds organs, and organs builds systems. Our second topic is homeostasis. Homeostasis is the ability to maintain their internal conditions despite the condition of external environment. It's a physiological system of processes constantly measuring and compensating for changes in the outside world that could damage internal systems. In 1876, Claude Bernard suggested that animals and plants keep their inner world constant by physiological mechanisms that continuously compensate for external changes. An example of this are the humans. An increase in temperature causes sweating and a diversion of blood flow to the skin, aiding heat loss. In the cold, shivering is triggered so that muscle activity generates heat and capillaries contract to divert blood to internal organs. There are two types of feedback in homeostasis, the negative and the positive. The negative feedback is how a system responds to a stimulus or change by generating an effect that regulates or counteracts the original stimulus. And the positive feedback is the process by which a system moves away from its initial state, enhancing or amplifying the stimuli that change it.
Addictions, pregnancy, and obesity are interconnected health uses that pose serious risks to individuals and society. Addictions, whether to drugs, alcohol, or even food, alter brain chemistry and affect decisions making. Pregnant women struggling with addictions face ever greater challenge. A substance use can harm both the mother and developing baby, leading to complications such as preterm birth, low birth weight, and developmental disorders. Additionally, obesity is growing concern during pregnancy, increasing the risk of high blood pressures, gestational diabetes, and delivery complications. Beyond pregnancy, obesity often stems from unhealthy eating habits, which can be linked to addiction-like behaviors in bulk food consumption. Addressing these problems, a comprehensive approach that includes education, medical intervention, and mental health support to break the cycles of addictions and promote healthier lifestyles for mothers and family alike. In conclusion, pregnancy, obesity, and addictions pose serious health risks. Addictions in pregnancy can harm both mother and baby, while obesity increases complications. These uses require proper care and support.